Hello, Damian. Joseph Bridgeman, my old friend, my
Hello, how
esteemed
are you?
colleague.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing really well. Really pleased to be on here as a nice warm up act for your amazing conference, and I can't wait to be at your amazing conference. So really happy to be having this fabulous conversation with you today.
Awesome. Now I'm seeing something coming up here. Now, this in this live, it has never happened before. Bernie Davis LinkedIn Live with Damian. It looks like the event was cancelled on LinkedIn. Oh, what's going on, LinkedIn? Come on, get yourself together. It's telling me it was cancelled, but no, I'm live. Guys, it's what life does, isn't it? No,
It's
I
fine.
know I had some issues recently with my LinkedIn, but come on, hackers, leave my LinkedIn alone. We've got work to do. Do not interfere or interrupt. Yes, so Damian, let's start again. Welcome, Damian, to this fantastic opportunity for me to be able to do two things. One, to catch up with my old esteemed friend, and two, to introduce this fantastic champion, not just a disability champion, he's just a champion with whom I've had the privilege to work, to become friends for years. And Damian, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to join me because I want to catch up with you. I want my audience to know about the great work you're doing, not just in Wales, but across the United Kingdom and beyond. First, as the founder for Freedom 365, all the work that you do for the Welsh government, all the advisory capacities with which you sit, all the many platforms on which you speak, and most recently, your disability rights task force that you are involved in, and your books. I'm not a spaz, I'm safe. And the other one that's launched to be launched in 2024, I got the exclusive interview with Damian to also talk about loving Damian. Damian, tell the audience about you, where you started, because I always say we are not what we do, we are who we are.
I'm I'm Damian Bridgeman. I got a long-term disability, which is cerebral palsy. My disability was caused by medical negligence, and from a very early age, I had to start championing and having a really strong voice to be able to get the services that I wanted. But as I grew up, I realized that I was quite lucky in myself to also be an advocate for them, and I was very much and very early on thrust into advocating for those less fortunate than ourselves, and that's what brings me into the diversity and inclusion.
Yes, because you struggled, Damian, yourself, first of all, to come to terms with something.
Basically, uh, my other books, my 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 book, my you're breaking up terribly, Bernie. I'm
Yes,
struggling
you're breaking up. I'm
to
not
hear you
hearing you.
properly.
Uh,
Sorry about that.
yes, yes, I think it's you. We will persevere. We will get your voice out there. Something is trying to mess with your because when there's greatness to occur, sometimes you get resistance. So Damian, just take a deep breath and come again.
I I didn't hear your question. Sorry, Bernie.
Yes, now I was saying, let's start again. You were saying about, I was asking you about the cerebral palsy because you had to first of all, overcome the the what happened to you, medical negligence, is what
Okay.
caused it. Yes.
Yes. Basically, my medical negligence happened with an incubator failing, and it basically caused me to have lack of oxygen at birth, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and it's left me with quadriplegic cerebral palsy, but it hasn't held me back. In fact, it's actually made me, and very much like you say in your first book, Bernie, find your own U-print, it's become part of my U-print. So
Yes.
I've turned it into I've turned it into something that I can really work with.
That's incredible. And it didn't stop you from achieving great heights
No.
intellectually, academically, and it hasn't stopped you from doing what the greats among us do, which is to help others. So tell us, Damian, how you got into launching Freedom 365 and what Freedom 365 does within Wales and the rest of the United Kingdom.
Freedom 365 came out of a conversation I had with a number of social entrepreneurs that were saying, actually, Damien, we need to stir up the social care space. We need to stir up we need to stir up the housing space. We need to encourage disabled people to have jobs, and we basically need to do things differently. So what happened was I initially started a company called Freedom Holidays with a colleague, and then we quickly realized that actually we needed to have somewhere that could deliver the care for individuals, but actually good quality care. So that's why I went and set up a consultancy business that brings people together like a concierge service. And now we are
Mhm.
delivering care into hotels, nannies into hotels, and we are
Wow.
delivering our first skiing holiday at Christmas, so that people with really complex disabilities will have the opportunity to go skiing in the Alps. So
Wow.
that's what we will.
That is incredible, Damien. And this is going to be this first time you're offering that one this year in 2023 in terms of your services.
Yes, yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible. I love your tagline on your banner, social architect. Tell me
Yeah.
what inspired you, because you're doing so many things. What inspired you to encapsulate all of what you do in that description of a social
Okay.
architect?
Okay. Why I say social architect is because I use business processes to solve issues. Yeah, and
Wow.
I use business processes to solve societal issues. And how do I do that? I leverage my network.
You leverage your network.
And it's not always able to bring together the people with your skills. So it's about not always being the person that is the visible entrepreneur, but actually the person that can conduct the orchestra to play the right tune for whatever societal issue you're trying to solve.
That's incredible, because that's,
And
the imagery I get from what that terminology, what it speaks to me, what it says to me is, what the architect does. The architect sits and he draws the vision. He brings the
yeah,
vision to life from his client as to what the structure should look like, and he replicates their vision, and then they empowers them to go out and build it. And that, I think, that terminology that you use for what you do when you describe what Freedoms 365 is doing could not be more apt, because that's what you're doing. You are creating that vision of this social, as I say, societal structures, the fabric of what we expect when we'd like the things to be for your target audience, which are people, not just disabled, but primarily now, because obviously you're going to help those like yourself. You're not going to go ahead of them and leave them behind. And I think that is absolutely incredible and very commendable, David. I'm sorry. Why am I saying David? I'm looking at the thing and I'm looking at Damian and saying David, because I can't write.
It's all right. No worries about that at all.
Yes. So
and
Damian,
I just want to leave your audience with a quick thought as we move into other areas. Basically, every business person that is on LinkedIn has a way of helping society. Yes, you might not see the finances up front, but you'll get the finances in other ways. So actually, by helping and embracing the movement of social architecture, your business will grow. And if I can just give you an example, one of the biggest projects I was ever involved in was a piece of software that is now helping 250 million users globally actually be able to read books, be able to read knowledge. And what is said in the parable, if you teach somebody to fish, they will be able to feed for life. If you give someone a fish, they won't be able to. So by being able to create the software which has actually enabled people to read, I'm sharing knowledge with people so they can make their own way in the world. Therefore breaking down the barriers.
Yes, so we're about enabling, empowering, not making people dependent on us, because when you give them the fish, they can only have a meal, and then they need another meal. And then the cycle continues. But when you empower them to be able to fish, then they can go out and fish, and they can not only feed themselves but feed others. Because think about it, when you go out to fish, you don't just catch one fish. You don't catch just one meal for the day. You know, I mean, if you follow through on that analogy to its ultimate conclusion, we see where, you know, you catch a fish, you feed yourself, you feed your family, you might even have some to sell. So you then become entrepreneurial. You follow that analogy through to its logical conclusion, you can see what that the power in that. But I'm not a spaz. I am safe. What made you feel the need to write that book, and what was going on in that time and space for you, Damian?
I'm gonna be very honest in what I'm gonna say. So, bit of a warning up front. Basically, when I wrote "I'm not a spaz, I'm safe," I wanted to show how the current systems aren't really set up to help people with children with disabilities. How, if you've got domestic violence in your family, which my mum had to escape, they're not really set up for people with disabilities. I basically got shoved in a nursing home for 3 years, and then shoved in another nursing home for another 2 years, because the system didn't know how to deal with me. And basically, what I tried to get across in that book is that actually, don't judge a book by its cover. And also, if you want a book to be a catalyst for change, you have to be authentic in that book. So many disabled people have asked me why I've called my first book "I'm Not a Spaz, I'm Safe," and I'll happily share with you why I called it "I'm Not a Spaz, I'm Safe." And the reason being was I was working in Catay's community centre with a young gentleman who, let's say, had a number of aces to his character, you know, would have been written off by society, but he thought it was okay to come into Catay's community centre and smoke some cannabis. So as I as I was there on placement, I got asked to go and support the senior youth worker in having a conversation with him. And as I went out there, he started calling the senior youth worker, "You're a spaz, you are." And I said, "Do you realize that's derogatory to people like me?" And he said, "Damian, it's not derogatory to people like you." I said, "Well, actually it is, because in the 1900s, that's what they would have called my disability. They would have called me a spaz." And he said, "Damian, you're not a spaz. You're the only one that happens to me that ever makes sure I got food and basically make sure my mum's got credit on her gas and electric so I can go and be warm and ready for school. So you're not a spaz, Damian. You're safe." And that's why I decided to call it "I'm not a spaz, I'm safe."
Oh, that is so heartwarming. And that just takes me to the real root.
And if we take, sorry, Bernie, if we take that to
No, carry on.
where it
Go on. Yes, you can go on. You can go on. You were making your point. Can you hear me?
You're
Can you hear me?
I couldn't hear the question.
Yeah. No, you were making your point about that young man, because I was saying that is so heartwarming to hear him say that about you.
Basically, what I was going to say in that, all I caught was you. Then I didn't catch the rest of the question, Bernie. Sorry.
No. I wasn't asking a question. I was just saying, I was commenting that is just incredible. Yes, it's so incredible what you are saying, because, Damian, that's what the Diversity and Inclusion Conference is all about. It is highlighting that the differences and the exclusions are not just disabilities, they also are societal. And that young man, he had his own societal challenges. He had his own exclusions. And when you, with your disability, could hear that you were strengthening someone else who was able-bodied, what a powerful moment, that you were making him feel safe. And that is the whole basis of my book and the conference. It's understanding that it's not just about one set of exclusions. The whole diversity conundrum, I call it. It has to do with intersections. So many intersections are there that meet, and we cannot just have a one size fits all approach to diversity and inclusion, because you, in your wheelchair, as a quadriplegic, in that moment, you were told by someone who was able-bodied that you had privilege, but not as an insult. He was saying to you, Damian, not only do you have privilege, Damian, but you've used that privilege to make me feel safe. How powerful. That's powerful. So powerful. So tell me, Damian, so we move from "I'm not a spaz, I am safe."
And if I can just tell you the other bit of the gang that he was involved in actually mugged me, and he got my phone back.
Wow.
Because he didn't want the gang to be able to mug somebody with a disability. Knows what Bernie was. You lost me then, did you, Bernie?
Yeah, you're back now. You're good.
Basically, what I was trying to say then was, when this gang tried to mug me, this young person said, "We can't mug Damian because he's the only one that understands us." So he actually brought my phone back to me and made the gang apologize. So there goes justice.
That is powerful. And those of you who might be listening now, or might be listening with a cup of coffee afterwards, I know at this time of days, sometime you might be in work, but I know that when you hear this, you're going to be moved. And I really hope that it doesn't just move you and you consider it for yourself, but you share this because others need to hear this. This is powerful, real life stuff happening here in Wales, which is why I have focused the conference. There are so many people across the United Kingdom who can make an input and have an input in this conference. But I know we've got all we need within Wales to make that difference. We have all the champions here in Wales, and this is one of them. And this is just one of the few stories that he can share with us today. But Damian has a wealth of stories. So moving from I'm not a spaz, I'm safe, to loving Damian. Tell me about this new book that's coming out.
Okay, the new book that's coming out will be focused on the time now that I've met Paul. It'll be focused on the time that I've been represented by the same speaking agent as Richard Branson. And it'll basically be talking about what it's like to be living with carers and how that sort of has to come into your life and how you have to adapt your life. So basically, it's going to be a sort of lesson and a learning resource for multidisciplinary care teams that have taken my previous book and said, we're actually going to use it as a teaching resource because my previous book is being used in 4 universities as an extended case study. So there's a shameless plug for the book. But basically, the next book is going to have very unique features. And one of the reasons it's going to have very unique features is because I'm majorly dyslexic. And yes, that is my superpower. Dyslexia is my superpower. And basically, what I've decided is that book will be a YouTube channel. That book will be a book. And also that book will be a podcast. But on the YouTube channel, if you pay a subscription, you will have cutting edge lectures from thought leaders around care management, around disability management, around D&I, and it'll all come out of that book because I want that book to be a blueprint for a care model that says anybody with any complex disability shouldn't be written off. Because believe it or not, Bernie, I was the biggest thing my mum was told I would amount to is going to a day centre, and now I've written laws which are actually managing those day centres. So what a difference!
Oh, exactly, and the difference between you and unfortunately some who give up and some of them, and I've had the privilege of talking to another gentleman. He's Tom Gullick, and he went through times when he had suicidal thoughts. And the difference between yourself, Tom Gullick, and others like you who are championing the cause, Amo Raju as well, Dr. Amo Raju, OBE, DL, give him his full title, and he's a disability champion as well, coming out of the UK from England. And the difference is that despite the challenges, vision kept you going. Without vision, the people perish. But you had a vision for what you wanted to achieve.
I've actually had one time in my life where I thought I was going to end it, and I actually did contemplate driving my wheelchair in front of that train. But actually, what brought me back was I knew my work wasn't finished.
Wow!
And I know this is going to sound quite I know this is going to sound quite spiritual, but please forgive me in the sense that I say in my first book, in my opening paragraph, I say I believe that I chose my life with a disability. And people say, Don't be daft. What do you mean you chose your life with a disability? I see my life with a disability as a learning mechanism of how to cope with society and how to be humble within society and how to learn to serve people in society. And that's what I'm here to do, is to serve.
Yeah, and that is it. When you know, when you understand your, when you have a vision, you understand your purpose. That keeps you going, and you know, and then when your purpose is something outside of yourself, that's where
Yeah.
the real magic happens. For Tom, he's in his story. He said he just thought of his partner at the time, and he just thought, what would that do to her? You know, so it was the love of somebody else that did that for him. You know, for you it was the love of the people and the love of the mission. Whatever it is that keeps us going, we all need that thing that keeps us going, because you're still doing, like, tell us now about what you're doing with the Disability Rights Task Force.
You know, I'm like Bernie. I regularly get people ringing me up going, Damian, can you come and help with this? And I'll often go, yes. Recently, I've had to turn around and say no. But as soon as Jane Hutt rang me and Professor Debbie Foster rang me and said, actually, Damian, would you take on this mission and actually convene a disability task force around housing for people with disabilities and complex conditions and mental health? I said it would only be my privilege to do so if I could do it my way. And they said, Damian, our Disability Rights Task Force as a group got convened by Mark Drakeford himself after the lockout report by Disability Wales. And basically, disabled people came together and said, nothing about us without us. Because there were so many disabled people in Wales and all over the country that weren't actually getting the services they were entitled to, or they weren't actually getting access to housing, education, all the way through the pandemic. So actually, Mark Drakeford grabbed it by the horns. Jane Hutt grabbed it by the horns as Minister for Equalities and said, we need to do something about this. And now Wales is being looked at as one of the ground leaders in disability development with people with disabilities.
Absolutely. And I do reference that in my book. I do talk about it. But then I also do know that there are still spaces, like, for example, and you know, a lot of people that are disabled now are further in their careers. They're getting to places where they attend venues where, the old venues, accessibility is still a challenge in some of the esteemed venues. And I've been told by one person who was disabled, who was supposed to get an award, and that person had to go through the kitchens to enter because there was not proper accessibility there. And so we still have a way to go, but I do know that there are champions like yourself, like Pippa Britton, OBE. She's the vice chair for the Paralympic Association, and for, I think it's Disability Wales as well. I might Sports Wales, I think. And she is doing stuff. I know Tanny Gray Thompson, they're all championing the cause. Daniel Biddle, there are so many that are doing it. I know Tom Gullick with, he's just a year now since he's been a Princess Trust ambassador, and he's launched this organization called Stigma, which is helping disabled creatives, visually impaired creatives, which is what he is. He's a visually impaired graphic designer, and his story is incredible. And he's just like you, creating that platform, Dave, Damian, what the heck is wrong with me? Come on now, Bernie, get your act together. All these D's and these D's. I tend to get stuck. And once I make a mistake, there's no David in the room, Bernie. Come on. Right. So you have all these people that are coming out and platforming, and we said something to each other at the beginning of our conversation. Damian, we talked about networking, disability networks, but that's what you're already doing. And I can see with the conference, because I know you're going to be there and they're all going to be there, and that would be an incredible place to really have these discussions and take something forward. Because one of the things I want to achieve from the Mastering Diversity Conference, now I need to plug this, guys, because these series of lives, LinkedIn Lives, are all about raising awareness to all things diversity, and in particular to mastering diversity, which is what I say is making it your focus, raising the awareness for it. Yes. And making
and
sharing it. Sharing it. Yes. Yes, taking the time that it needs.
One thing I would say, Bernie, is you've set the platform, so it's for other people then to light the spark that can change the world.
And that's what's happening.
I honestly believe your conference is going to change the world.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's well, as I said in my book, I'm not about changing the world, but I'm about changing my world. Right, my world is Wales, and to bloom where I am planted. And if it changes the rest of the world, oh well, that's God, it's over to you. But my thing is, we can't do, and sometimes we don't make that step because we think, oh, I can't change the world. But how about just your little corner, and then it will have that ripple effect. And as you say, others will come. You build it, they will come. You start it, others will. Because I can't do it. My motto is, and as the book is Mastering Diversity, we go together or not at all. It's available on Amazon, Kindle, and paperback. And yes, I am plugging it. Why am I plugging it? Because I spent a lot of time learning these truths that I have mentioned in this book. It's a small book. It is not a complete work. It is for us to start the conversations. It might throw up more questions and answers, but then it gets us all in the bits of it that resonate with us. We all do our bit, because we cannot do it on our own, but together we can. And so that conference where we have all these disability champions, all these champions of to do with gender, all those to do with representation and government, all those to do with education and religious freedoms, and all this public sector, the third sector, neurodiversity, digital inclusion, all of those things all form a part of the fabric of what we're trying to create within Wales in the diversity sphere. And so, guys, it's free access, all areas, tickets. Everybody who is doing their bit is going to be there. And I know you think, yes, I'm telling you, BBC is going to be there. They've actually sponsored a zone, so they're participating. They put their money where their mouth is. So is S4C. They're sponsoring, and they're sponsoring the education zone. Okay, NatWest, Quariteg, Transport for Wales, Bevan Buckland LLP, Stable Resources. The exhibitors are everybody that has stakeholders in the diversity sphere. They're going to be there. So come out. If you have a gripe, don't sit at home and say, oh, they're not. Come on out. Let your voices be heard, because we're going to take away a piece of work from all of this. We're going to do a report. We're going to take action, and it's going to be an annual thing. Okay? Opening ceremony by the First Minister himself, Matt Drakeford, the Honorable Matt Drakeford. Jane Hutt, who is your, she she depends on you, Damian. Jane Hutt, the Honorable Minister Jane Hutt, she will be
She's
there.
amazing.
Minister of Social Justice and British Government Chief Whip, Bon Gethin, because we believe that diversity and inclusion at its best will certainly benefit positively the economy. He's going to be in the United States, but he's to send a pre-recorded statement, pre-recorded talk for the event, the Minister for the Economy. And Councillor Julie Sangani, who is the cabinet member for equalities, she's going to be there also speaking, and the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales, Michelle Morris. So it's a wide cross section. We are trying to cover everything, but we can't do everything without you all. It's really filling up, to be honest, over 600 tickets booked, but we can, when something is free, not everybody shows up. So guys, you come out. We want to really make an impact in Wales. Okay. So Damian, now I always ask my guests, yes, to tell us a bit about what it is that they think is their core message, that thing that they really wish half of the time they had a chance to get someone's attention to share. And I'd like to give you this moment to just, I'm not asking you a question, you choose what you'd like to talk with us about right now. And if you wouldn't mind, just because I want people to know just how great a work you do, just talk about some of the boards as well that you support with your expertise.
Okay. I'm going to start backwards. Some of the boards I sit on are some of the ones that you probably heard about if you're in this space. Social Care Wales. I sit on a number of Welsh Government advisory boards for disability, and I also sit on boards over in England helping people with learning disabilities actually have their own homes. And I also basically sit there and I basically hold truth to power in everything that I do. So if I was going to leave you with one salient point, or maybe a few salient points, is actually take that step today and step into your own personal greatness, because it's only by you taking that step into your greatness that we will be able to achieve what we need to achieve for Wales. And actually, I personally believe that we are on the crest of a massive wave here in Wales, where the rest of the world is going to be watching us, because that's what's happening at the fields that I've worked in. They always watch Wales and they always come afterwards and they always say, I wish I did it before Wales did it. Well, actually, you're going to be at a conference on the 18th of September, which is actually going to change the diversity landscape. So please, please get that ticket today. And I look forward to having a coffee with you, sitting down with you, and actually seeing how together we can change the world.
Yes, awesome. And there is something that I thought to myself, a lot of people don't realize, because we don't pay attention and we don't have those challenges. And so when we speak, there's a delay in when you respond. Could you just explain what you have to go through to do this incredible work? How you have to you manage to have conversation?
All right. Every time I speak, it's like the equivalent of me doing 4 hours at the gym.
Wow.
That's what my muscles have to do to allow me to speak. To operate my computer, I have to use my voice. To operate my house, I have to use a computer. To open a door in my house, I have to use a computer. Why? Because I'm left in a wheelchair. That I'm going to be really honest. I need help with every aspect of everyday living, but that doesn't take away from my personal mission of helping those less fortunate than ourselves.
Wow.
And I just want to leave something with you, just to sort of ruminate on as we're coming out of this talk. I actually helped 5 disabled entrepreneurs actually achieve their own business when actually Business Wales wrote them off.
Wow. Wow.
And now they're actually taxpayers in Wales. So if I was going to have a sit down with Ron Geffen, unfortunately I won't be able to, because he won't be there and he'll
No.
be in America. But actually, I'm sure there's other bits of work that we'll be working together on. I would say actually support disabled entrepreneurs in a more unique way, because not everyone can fit into the same mold that you think every business can or every person can. Sometimes it is about doing a unique service for that individual to have a level playing field. And that's what I believe your conference is going to achieve, is that conversation that is going to change the world.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Damian. We have a little bit of time, so I really would like you, because gosh, this is exactly what I say. If we don't speak to people and we don't ask the question, how are you going to know how we can actually really help them? So from what you've said just now, these 5 entrepreneurs, now they're tax-paying entrepreneurs. What was that gap? What was it that they could not get through the Business Wales service that you were able to give to them?
They went to standard business services,
Yes.
and they went to standard banks, and they said, I set up a business, and nobody knew how to tell them to access to work, how to employ people, to have virtual assistants to be able to help them do things. Nobody knew all of that was available. And you know what the most empowering thing was? I gave the sort of number one entrepreneur that I actually really learned my craft in when I worked with those 5 entrepreneurs. This entrepreneur was constantly on medication. She was a global entrepreneur in her field, but she was operating it from a bed. And people said, "Oh, she can't do that." But she was speaking like yourself, Bernie. She spoke at the UN. She spoke to Richie Sunak more times than I care to remember. Why did they keep reaching out to her? Because she kept talking truth to power. Because she kept being honest with them. Because
Wow.
she wasn't scared to actually say, "You're talking bullshit."
I think, Damian, when you've been through what you've been through, what she's been through, I don't think you really have time to play around. She's just going to have to go
No.
straight.
Yeah.
Because like you
And she
say,
did.
it's just like running marathons. When you have to speak, you can't waste your words, no, can you?
No. No. Anna,
Oh,
I'm sorry if it comes across as a stumbled speech, but if anybody does want to reach out to me, please reach out to me. I want to be one of Bernie's. I'm going to actually pinch one of the Windrush words that they used. I want there to be a group of elders around diversity and inclusion here in Wales, and I really think that actually, I really think that we need to start doing some radical stuff. And I just want to take this last 5 minutes, Bernie, to say to you, thank you for being that catalyst for change.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's the thing is, we've all been doing it, and we've all been doing our bit. Honestly, I mean, thank you. I have, the thing is, and that's the thing, when you are doing stuff in life and you value great things, you value other people within your realm. And I just love the way that we support each other, because I just think you're the best, you think I'm the best, these are the things that we all think, and that's what we've got to all just have this mutual admiration for the work that we each do, because each of us are owning our space, and without the other, I've been doing these lives on for the last 2 weeks, and the incredible people that I've had come on here, and the incredible people that are going to be at the conference, I'd be nothing without them. I'd just be somebody with an idea and with a venue and with a book. But when you have the people in their own realms coming together, that's what makes it. That's why I say we go together or not at all. And everybody's different. And you do not sound like you're speaking stumbled. No. What I was referring to is that when I ask the question, sometimes there's a break and then you speak and there's a pause. And the thing is, you are gathering your breath. You are probably it's probably downloading in your equipment, and they don't understand what it takes for you to speak. And I just thought I needed to say that, because it's not that you're slow of wit by any means. Yes.
Thank you.
It's the process that it takes for it to get through, to come out, because it's not easy what you're doing. For us, talking is nothing. We just talk.
Yeah.
You know? And you acquit yourself so incredibly well. I am so proud of you, honestly, Damian, and long may you continue to do what you do. And you've been a forerunner for the other disabled people that are now coming into the race. And I do really see some kind of coming together with, all of you helping us to understand, because that's what this is all about. We need to each understand what's going on with other people, and we can't do it unless we pull up a chair and have the conversation.
And I'm gonna end it with a bit of cheek and humor at the same time, and say I've already penciled me in as one of your headliners for your next conference, Bernie.
Yes, I know. Yeah, well, I think, to be honest, it would be rude not to. Absolutely. But we're journeying together. Thank you so much. You see, I had to find you with this. I thought, I've got to find Damian. Where is he? We're having these lives. I'm not going to leave you out at all, because to leave you out is to make what I'm doing that less rich. And we are all I'm all about the most enriching journey together now with what we're doing. So thank you so much. So last words to you now, Damian. Yeah, it's your last
words to me. It's going to be a bit of fun on this afternoon. I can't wait to actually share some Jamaican rum with Auntie, because she sounds amazing, and the people that you've got around you, I'll be humble in their time, and it's been totally great to spend this couple of minutes with you, Bernie. And I really can't wait to speak to you very soon. Bye-bye.
Oh, absolutely. Well, for those of you who are wondering who Auntie is, well, Damian, listen to my Friday evening live with Auntie Roma Taylor, who's the founder of Windrush Culinary Elders, and she's this is this standing chair. And Auntie Roma is a legend. She's at St. Fagans Museum. Go check her out. And I should give a plug for the Windrush 75 documentary. The premiere is on the 7th of October. It's going to be at Cineworld in Cardiff Bay. Only £5, the tickets, because it's subsidized. Only £5, and it's a premiere. Come on out. If you see the promotional material that's going out for the event, the documentary, which I'm told the Cannes Film Festival have asked about it, and watch the space. But Auntie Roma is her head in her signature hairstyle. That lady with the little bun, that's Auntie Roma's back. But if you want to check her out, my LinkedIn Live on Friday last, Auntie Roma and her super talented daughter, Susan Smart. So thank you so much. You know, Damon, you're incredible, because this is your moment and you've taken time to reference somebody else. That's what we're all about. That's what it's all about. It's not just about us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Damon. Give my absolute regard to Paul, legend Paul, who has really been, the wind beneath your wings in terms of taking care of, of Damian, who is not a spaz. He's safe. Yes. And I can't wait to hear about when the actual launch date for the book in 2024. I can't wait. Absolute pleasure having you, Damian. And say your last word.
You'll have an invite, Bernie. And so will everybody on this LinkedIn Live.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So guys, now how do they find you? How do they link up with you on LinkedIn?
If you want to go and check out my book, if you go and purchase, if you go and check it out. Just type my name into Google, so it's Damian Joseph Bridgeman, and I will come up.
Yeah, Damian Joseph Bridgeman.
Type in Damian Joseph Bridgeman, and I will come up.
Yes, and they can get the book, and then they can find all your contact details there. Engage, connect with Damian, and get to learn and understand what it takes to be a champion of disability, what it takes to take others alongside with you as you overcome your own disabilities. You're a true legend, Damian. Thank you so much. Bye all. Please share.
Thank you very much.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, stay.